So, Brightburn 2019 is a film that came out and I was looking really forward to it. The reason why is because it's James Gunn and David Yarovesky's take on what if Superman was evil. Now, this is a film which I was quite surprised by because not a lot of people talked about it and it went under everyone's radar. It's a very cheap film and we'll get into that in a bit. I really enjoyed it. Why? Because I'm a fan of superhero films, but I always had that bit of a inkling of what if a superhero was a bad person. Yes, we got that with The Boys and we've got that with like the Suicide Squad, but I just wanted to see an iteration of a superhero or something like a superhero, but it's completely turned on the audience's head and you just see a creature or of human form just going on a massive killing spree, and that's exactly what Brightburn is. So it's directed by David Yarovesky, it's produced by James Gunn, and the screenplay is done by Mark and Brian Gunn, so James Gunn's brothers. And it just makes sense that why the film was actually quite well done in terms of quality. The only thing I would say is that I just kind of wish it got a better marketing, because the marketing standpoint of it was quite poor. It's quite upsetting because this is actually a gem of a film. So this is a story that evolves around a couple who live on a farm. So you have David Denman and Elizabeth Banks, who basically are a couple trying for a baby. The next thing you know, you see a spaceship coming out of the sky and crashing into the barn. And because they can't have a kid, they think, oh wow, we found a kid. Let's keep him. Let's not turn him into the authorities. Let's just keep him. All right, fair enough. Just take him in and raise him as your own. Not like no one's going to ask for any birth certificates. Not like anyone's going to ask for any proof of verification that he's yours. I think it's a really well-made film because the whole premise of it is that the child is basically going through this process of becoming who he is. So Elizabeth Banks and David Denman give a hell of a performance, and I actually thought they were a real life couple. That's how good and convincing they were. And it kind of makes sense because when you have a child, you try to be very oblivious to what bad they are doing, and they did exactly the same thing for a bit. And what happened is that after a while, once they realize, oh, our child is not doing exactly what other normal children are doing, such as, putting a fork in his mouth, biting it down and crushing it. And it just kind of made them think that, oh, wow, we have a kid who has special abilities, but now they're kind of twisting and turning a bit. It's not as good and it's not surprising as it once was. Now it's a bit frightening. So it's kind of like a coming of realization that the kid that we have is quite special, but he's also might be dangerous. And in one of the acts of the film, you technically see him ending up going into a barn. The kid, you end up seeing going into a barn and finding his spaceship hidden under the ground. It's a very Superman-esque story. That's literally where it's derived from. It's derived from Man of Steel. And when you watch the trailer, you'll see what I mean. The title cards are exactly the same as the Man of Steel trailer. And I appreciate it because I always want to know what Superman would be like if he was a bad person and if he went on a killing spree with the superpowers he had. So he finds his spaceship, and next thing you know, he starts getting a calling, and this calling is not a good calling. It's not a good calling at all. He has a bad habit of just going on a hunt for people, and he starts killing a lot of people as well. Whoa! Bearing in mind, I didn't know what the rating of the film was essentially before I went into the cinema to watch it. What I did know that it was going to be a bit of a horror film, but I didn't know how far they were going to take it. And holy crap, they took it pretty far. There are a couple of deaths in that film which it took me off guard because I'll break it down with two of the death scenes. One of them is a cafeteria lady who basically gets terrorized by him by putting up all these signs all over the windows and terrorizing her, and she's freaking out. And and some glass breaks. I can't remember if it's from the chandelier, if it's from the lights or from the window, but the glass piece literally goes straight into her eye. And she slowly pulls it out, and literally it's a goddamn close-up shot. You see her iris splitting open and blood's pouring onto the ground. And I'm thinking, yo, what are you not doing? I love this. So she runs back into the back of the refrigerator, and next thing you know, the kid breaks up the door and literally kills her. And the second death, which really caught me off guard, is I believe it's either I think it's David Denman's brother in the film, and or Elizabeth Banks' brother in the film. But essentially, what happens is he sees their kid inside his house, and he gets freaked out and he wants to take him back home. And he ends up driving him back home. But then next thing you know, he flies out the door, and then he's wondering where the hell he's gone. Next thing you know, he sees him hovering in front of him while he's sitting in the car. He picks him up via the car, and then he drops the car about a good 200 feet from the sky. And then as he pummels down, the car crashes into the ground, but the steering wheel smashes into his jaw, and his jaw splits open. And oh my god, I haven't seen anything like it. I was like, this is what I paid for. This is good shit. But yeah, I really enjoyed the film. I think it's a really good take by David Yarovesky, and I think James Gunn did a really good job as well producing it. At the time when he was producing the film, it's when he got fired by Disney for all the allegations that were made on social media. So I guess he wanted to make something that keep his mind off things. And hats off to him, because it kind of makes sense why he did that, because he made a brilliant film. It was beautifully done. Now, some of the issues I have with it is the film was a bit rushed. It was at a runtime of, I believe, 1 hour and 30 minutes or 1 hour 31 minutes. And yes, we're used to superhero films being about over 2 hours long, but it was the pace of it was a lot quicker than I expected. There's some things that could have taken the time of. I would say I want to see more destruction, but at the same time, for the price of the film, of how much it actually cost to make, it was insanely well done. It was only $7 million is what it took, and the film looked like it had a budget of at least 30-40 million. It was like a small indie film, but at the same time, they've done a really well done job on actually providing great visual effects, great cinematography, great lighting, and yeah, the film was really well done. But like I said, there are some things we could have been improved on. I think if you're a fan of superhero films, you want to see a take on what a superhero would be like if he was evil, I think this will be the perfect fit. This film is basically a take on what if you had a film like Chronicle that came out 2012, and you had Superman, Man of Steel, and you combine both of them together and put an R rating on top of it. And that's exactly what you get. I would say if you're bored and you want to watch a film and you have the money to rent it, then I would say watch Brightburn. I don't know what social media sites it's on right now. I don't know if it's on Amazon Prime or Netflix, but if it is, just check out on each of the platforms, see if the film was on there, and give it a watch. I think you'd really enjoy the character development. I think you'd enjoy the visual effects side of things, and I also think you'll enjoy the violence and and how grotesque some of the scenes actually are. And yeah, if I wanted to watch a film that showed what superheroes would be if they were bad, it's exactly this. But yeah, I think it's a really good film, and like I said, it doesn't come out with any faults. There are some faults that you could actually look back on. So if you like the video and you want to know more about movie reviews, and if you have any specific suggestions for movie reviews, just let me know, and we'll carry on making more of those videos. So like I said, I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like, comment, maybe subscribe, I don't know. And yeah, I'll see you for the next one.